you just sit there and go,
yeah, well, not only that, how about the fact that this guy was running this for decades? He was doing this for decades to who knows how many people, and everybody was scared to talk about it because he'd have them killed. Yeah, it's really wild, man. I think there's so many powerful people that are on those lists. There's so many powerful people that went and partied. Air quotes, partied. And how many of them went to the Diddy parties? Have you been paying attention to the trial?
Been popping up in this Diddy conversation for one reason. People say he voiced the part nobody wants to admit. Not loyalty, not friendship, not the industry sticking together. Fear. Because when legal pressure shows up, the loudest rooms don't get louder, they get quieter. And when powerful people go dead silent at the same time, that silence starts feeling like strategy, not coincidence.
You ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, you know, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that.
And the deeper point people keep circling back to is simple. Silence isn't always support. Sometimes it's self-preservation. That's where this gets uncomfortable. If too many major names have been tied to the same world, the same parties, the same private circles, the same everybody knows everybody rooms.
You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is
yes,
new.
there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood.
Then speaking up doesn't just put Diddy on the line. It can put the speaker on the line too. And Joe isn't the only one who's framed it that way. 50 Cent has been hinting at this dynamic for a long time, acting like he's one of the few willing to say anything while everyone else suddenly doesn't know or can't comment. So when you watch the silence spread, it starts to feel like it's saying more than any statement ever could. Now, if you've been paying attention to the low hum coming out of Hollywood lately, none of this should really surprise you. For months, there's been quiet but persistent talk, not always in headlines, more like background noise that never fully disappears. And one rumor keeps resurfacing in different forms. Unreleased footage allegedly floating behind the scenes. Not just random party clips. People whisper about recordings tied to explicit after-hours environments, questionable decisions, and situations that could seriously damage careers. Big careers. Household names. And according to the chatter, those tapes trace back to one place, Diddy's world. These weren't just nights of music and champagne, at least not the way the internet frames it now. The way it's being discussed is darker. Spaces where lines blurred, boundaries disappeared, and cameras allegedly stayed active even when people assumed they weren't. And here's the part that makes the story feel dangerous. The claim that some people caught up in this didn't even realize anything was being documented. That's why the conversation keeps shifting from scandal to control. Because if recordings exist, even if the public never sees them, the rumor alone creates pressure, it creates fear, it creates leverage. And leverage is a powerful thing in an industry where image is everything. That's where Joe Rogan's angle hits different for people. It reframes the silence as self-defense, not because certain celebrities want to protect Diddy, but because they might be protecting themselves from what could come out if they speak too boldly. And when you line that up with what 50 Cent, Jaguar Wright, and Gene Deal have all hinted at over the years, the narrative gets uglier. Not confirmed, not clean, but ugly.
I sat right here and told y'all there was activity on the darknet. Videos were being distributed and were going to be sold for profit because the diddler needs the money. Did I not say that?
Said that.
Right here.
Yeah.
Those people who was caught at Diddy party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house. But he had 250 tape recorders.
Because the logic is simple. If speaking too directly, speaking under oath, or even taking a firm public stance could trigger blowback, then staying quiet starts to look like the safest move. That's why, when people look at who's staying silent, the silence starts making its own kind of sense. The first name that keeps circling the conversation is Stevie J. Stevie isn't just an associate. He's tied to the core history, bad boy DNA. He was there during the era when decisions got made, when the inner circle wasn't just friends, it was business, power, and access. And when the heat around Diddy intensified, Stevie didn't distance himself. He defended him publicly, called him family, doubled down. That kind of loyalty raised eyebrows immediately, because when pressure rises, most people step back just to protect optics. Then Rodney Lil Rod Jones's lawsuit hit the timeline, and Stevie's name got pulled into online conversation even harder. Claims tied to the broader narrative suggest Stevie wasn't just around, that he allegedly played some kind of coordinating role in the background of certain late-night situations, helping handle logistics while Diddy stayed insulated. Online, people also whisper about alleged leaked clips and explicit behavior tied to those gatherings. That part stays in rumor territory, but the reason it sticks is because it matches the leverage theory people are already primed to believe. And that's why the question keeps coming up around Stevie. Is that confidence, or is it fear disguised as loyalty? Another name that keeps popping up is Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba and Diddy have been seen together for years. Events, trips, industry vacations, the standard celebrity optics. But things shifted when Lil Rod's lawsuit landed, because Cuba's name wasn't just floating anymore, it was printed in legal paperwork. According to the complaint, Diddy introduced Lil Rod to Cuba during a yacht trip in the Virgin Islands, and Rod alleges what followed crossed serious boundaries: unwanted contact, repeated advances, ignored limits.
Fully escape it though, like your name, for example, was mentioned in the Diddy case.
Which was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Because you barely know
This is the most ridiculous thing ever. But again, welcome to being a celebrity. Welcome to my world.
Cuba denies wrongdoing and says he was blindsided by the allegations. But public reaction wasn't sympathy, it was suspicion. Not because people have proof, but because the atmosphere around this story makes everyone look sideways at anyone who stays close. And in the court of public opinion, timing matters. When most people were trying to distance themselves, any sign of leaning in looks deliberate, even if it isn't. Then there's Usher, and his story has been one of the most uncomfortable to re-examine. It's been publicly known for years that Usher spent time around Diddy early in his career. And when Usher has spoken about that period, he's done it carefully, describing the environment with words that feel chosen, like he's trying not to open doors he can't close.
Moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp?
Yeah, that's what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
I was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
For a long time, those comments sounded vague. Now, to a lot of people, they sound like regret. Because once you stack them next to the wider allegations and then bring Justin Bieber into the picture, the internet starts painting a pattern. Justin's name became linked to that orbit early in his rise. Old footage keeps resurfacing where Diddy jokes about having 48 hours with him and says what happened can't be discussed.
Check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
He signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
For years, people treated it like awkward industry banter, uncomfortable, but brushed off. Today, people replay it differently. Not because one clip proves anything by itself, but because the climate around this story has changed.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
Justin Bieber unfollowed his former manager, Scooter Braun, on Instagram, which sounds really minor.
It sounds sort of very high school.
But it is a big deal, especially for celebrities. And then the really surprising thing is after Justin did that, Scooter deactivated his entire Instagram.
When a wider narrative turns darker, viewers start rewatching old moments like they carry hidden meaning, even if reality is more complicated than the internet wants it to be. And then people look at Justin's later years, public struggles, isolation, cutting ties with certain circles, emotional moments about betrayal, and they start connecting dots, whether those dots belong together or not. Even his public support for protecting younger artists and moments where he's shown respect toward artists like Billie Eilish get reframed as he knows what pressure does, or he's seen how the industry can chew people up.
Justin Bieber must speak about this, you guys. He's apparently unfollowed all of his closest Hollywood managers, even the bodyguard, in a sign that some people are saying is more evidence of the Diddy fallout.
Candace Owens has openly questioned what really happened behind closed doors in those circles, suggesting that the clean-cut public image didn't necessarily match the private reality. Jaguar Wright goes further, accusing certain people of knowing exactly what was happening and staying silent anyway.
Someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the deadline.
So when legal pressure rises and major names keep it hush-hush, a lot of viewers don't read that silence as neutrality. They read it as fear. The name that keeps getting dragged into these conversations is Bryshere Gray from Empire. Fans remember him as a breakout star, but his fall was sudden, messy, and brutal. Arrests, public spirals, career collapse. And online, people use his story like a warning label. Because in these discussions, names like Terrence Howard and Jaguar Wright get referenced for implying that certain young stars get pulled into circles they aren't prepared for. Circles that promise opportunity, then take control and discard you the moment you stop being profitable.
Trying to him out so he'll feel too embarrassed to file his lawsuit against Diddy for what Will and Diddy did to him. With Jaden and Justin present, that tape exists.
Bryshere has spoken like someone who feels sabotaged and psychologically targeted. Whether every detail is true or not, the way people fold his story into this Diddy-centered narrative shows what the public believes. That power and entertainment can break people quietly, and the damage doesn't always show up until later. Now let's talk about Naomi Campbell, because her name keeps surfacing whenever people map out elite circles, private guest lists, and how access works at the top. A lot of it comes down to overlap. The same social lanes, the same high-level events, the same familiar faces appearing in the same orbit year after year. Online, that kind of proximity gets treated like a breadcrumb trail, and people start stitching narratives together whether the pieces truly belong or not.
Paper does manage to make it clear that you were not aware of Epstein activities. Did you know who he was?
Yes, I knew him. I was introduced to him on my 31st birthday by my ex-boyfriend Flavio. He was always front and center at Victoria's Secret shows.
Did you suspect what he was doing?
No. And what he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else.
That's why her name sometimes gets pulled into broader industry power debates, with past scandals like Epstein's used as a shorthand reference point when people talk about influence, introductions, and silence in protected circles. Naomi has pushed back on the way these narratives get framed, but the conversation keeps returning because the optics are hard to ignore, especially when you add long-running rumors that she and Diddy were close in earlier eras, plus public moments that still show their circles intersecting. Then there's Jay-Z. For years, Jay and Diddy moved like parallel moguls. Same parties, same circles, same power lanes. Jaguar Wright has claimed they were inseparable until Diddy started catching heavy legal pressure.
Something. When you have a peanut butter jelly sandwich, if it's just peanut butter, it's just peanut butter. If it's just jelly, it's jelly. When you put it together, it becomes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the taste is undeniable.
You saying Diddy and Jay-Z is peanut butter jelly?
Peanut butter and jelly.
That's when Jay allegedly went quiet and distanced himself fast. And whether that was strategy or fear, people noticed it immediately. Because if Diddy ever decides to talk, fans believe Jay's name won't stay out of the conversation forever. And finally, Meek Mill.
What's up, y'all already know how we playing out this real life. Real life. Diddy gang, Meek Mill in real life. Don't ever disrespect me, you heard? That shit, Meek. Yeah, Meek.
The rumors around Meek have been relentless. Claims that he was one of Diddy's favorites. Meek has denied it loudly, repeatedly, and aggressively. But the chatter never really faded. At one point, Lil Rod hinted at a Philly rapper who once dated Nicki Minaj, and the internet didn't exactly struggle to guess who people were implying. Meek's reactions online only poured fuel. Emotional rants, statements about being a real king from the trenches, blaming bots and fake accounts for trying to drag his name, and threatening people who kept talking about it. DJ Academics got pulled into the discussion as one of the loudest voices amplifying the rumors, and that made it feel even bigger. Then clips kept popping up. Meek relaxed around Diddy, looking way too comfortable for someone claiming there was nothing there.
Hey, what's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And of course, the internet treated every clip like evidence, every moment like proof, whether it was or not. Then there are alleged audio leaks that people claim carry intimate energy between Meek and Diddy. Unverified? Yes. But the damage of an allegation doesn't always require confirmation. Sometimes the rumor alone is enough to control behavior. And that's the point that keeps snapping this story back into place. What if the silence isn't because they support Diddy? What if it's because speaking could destroy them? What if the leverage isn't even public? It's private, sitting somewhere, waiting to be used. Because if recordings exist, or even if people believe they exist, then the silence stops looking mysterious. It starts looking logical. So now the question is sharp. Who's staying silent to protect themselves? And who's staying silent because they're trapped by the same system? Who's a victim? Who's an accomplice? Who's both? And if Diddy ever stops playing defense and starts playing offense, if he ever decides to talk, whose legacy collapses first? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like and subscribe. And don't miss the next video on your screen. Because if this story keeps moving the way it's moving, the next name to trend might not be who you expect.